you. This is a volunteer army. I was having this conversation with Paul. Where's Paul? There, right? We were having this at lunch, okay?
I just saved it.
And here's another thing. You only get paid for results, not the time spent in the business. You ever been to a meeting and you see somebody say, they go, well, how long have you been in the business? And I go, 6 years. Wow, 6 years. But then in this guy, I go, how much you making? Oh, I make like $50 a month. Okay? This guy's been in, how long have you been in? A week. How much you making? $50,000 already. What was the difference? Is it time in or results? So always remember that. It's not the time. See, here's the thing, is I've learned to become very efficient. Okay? Understand the power of leverage. One of the powerful things, Stevie, would you mind giving me a glass of water, please? Thank you. I always keep a piece of gum in my mouth. As a trick, by the way. When he's public speaking, sometimes you get dry mouth. I always keep a piece of gum stuck up here. Can't tell I have it up there, can you? Nice trick, right? And every once in a while I'll go like that and chew it while I'm looking at something else. Nobody even knew it happened. Understand the power of leverage. The power of leverage really is that, what's your name? It's your tag's turn, so it threw me off. BJ.
Yes.
Okay. BJ, do you think you can get rich gathering your own personal customers?
I would hope so.
Okay?
No.
Have fun with the hope. Anyhow. Or do you think we could maybe help you make some money, but become more efficient if, what's your name? Paula?
Amy.
And Amy. And let's say you helped Paula and Amy get started. You just met them, and let's say they each gather a small handful of customers, right? This isn't rocket science what I'm doing here. This isn't so profound. Would that help you do it, right? One great story that I heard a long time ago was this: if I paid you $1 million to dig a ditch 10 feet deep and 100 feet long, no matter how long it took you, how much time you put into it, but as long as that ditch got dug, that you'd get $1 million. But here's the option. You could do it by yourself. You could use a spoon. You could use a shovel. You could use a backhoe. Or you could get 10 people to use backhoes. Which would you prefer? 10 people with backhoes, right? Because it's more efficient, the same work got done. Because we're not paid for what? Time in the business. We're paid for results, okay? So real important. What activities actually make you money? You would be surprised how many people think that they're doing the business. And they've been in for hours, working days, working weeks, working years, but they're not doing anything that makes or generates cash flow. Okay? Yous ain't, repeat this with me, yous ain't got to be too smart to do this business and makes money. Go ahead, say it again. Yous ain't got to be too smart to do this business and makes money. I know that's not spell checked correctly. Okay, thank you. But here's what I understand you. Ignorance on fire will always beat knowledge on ice. Ignorance on fire will always beat knowledge on ice. I can prove it to you. Most people recruit or enroll the most brokers that they get when they join in their first 30 to 60 days. How educated are you in your first 30 to 60 days, typically? Pretty much zero, normal, if we're looking at everything normally. But what happens is a lot of times people get smart. And when they become smarter, their recruiting slows down because now they go into trainer mode. And they stop recruiting. Anybody ever seen that before? Well, man, when I first got in, I sponsored 15, 20 people. Now that I know all this amazing stuff and how deep the lines are buried and how gas has gotten centrifuged from China to Wisconsin, now nobody will join me. Wow. People are going to join you first and foremost because of who you are. They know you, like, and trust you. But the other thing is they're going to be looking at, can they do what you just did to get started in the business? And I'm going to touch on that, okay? This is a big one. Recruiting is a process, not an event. A lot of people treat this as home run derby when they go prospecting, when they're talking to people. They just, as hard as they can swing the bat, they throw it out there because they think that the only time they're ever going to get to talk to BJ is that one moment, and they just puke all over her with information, correct? She asked, there's a lot of people that when I say, hey, what time is it? You go, well, let me explain to you the technicalities of my ready-made watch and how it's synchronized. I see that all the time, people fire hosing people, okay? Learn this. This is another important skill, and I'm going to give you the exact things of how to say them, what to say, exact downloads, everything to get you going. Learn to be the messenger, not the message, okay? Huge fan of Jesus and the way he taught, because here's what he did. He showed the message, is all he shared, and then off he went to the next person. And he said if that person didn't receive that message, what did he say to do? Shake the dust off your feet. They didn't sink like this, oh please. Another perfect example of that is, if you had 100 bucket full of 100 oysters, 2 of them had pearls, you keep opening them each one. If the first 5 don't have pearls, what do? You know what most people do? Oh, please, have a pearl. Please turn into a pearl. Please, please, please. Instead, you should move on. Learn to say less to more people. Learn to say less to more people. And I'm going to show you exactly what to say and how to say it here in a second. Okay? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Oh my gosh. This is so hard for so many people. It drives me nuts. Okay? It always goes back to what are the activities that are going to generate cash? What is it what do I have to do to get someone to want to know about my business? Consistency is the key. I was at a top money earners kind of retreat a couple years back. There was 300 of probably some of the best networkers in the world in this room. And I thought, hey, instead of just sitting here, thinking, hey, who am I kind of thing, I grabbed a pen and paper and I walked around to as many as I could in a 3-hour period. And I asked one question. I said, hey, what's the number one thing you would attribute to your success? And guess what they would do? They would just tell me. First thing out of their mouth, and I wrote it down. I say, hey, thanks, I want to go talk to a bunch of people, and this is what I'm doing. I'm taking a poll. And I went around to probably 75 people in a short period of time. Every one of them had a different way to present. Every one of them used a different tool. Every one of them, their opinions on what it was. But ultimately, the number one thing that came out of all their mouths at the first onset was consistency. In fact, the number one money earner of that company said something, and back to baseball. He said, I swing the bat as many times as I have to. Occasionally I get a hit. Every once in a while I hit one out of the park. Occasionally I get a hit. Isn't that pretty profound right there? Because that's what part of the business is doing that. All right, here's what we're doing in this business. It's really very simple. If you want to make a tremendous amount of money, you're just going to have to learn how to get a large group of people to do a few easy tasks over a sustained period of time. Now let's define what easy means. Easy means something anyone can do. Here's the problem. I see a lot of times that if I make it to where my people become dependent on me to give the presentation or the information, I'm limited to how much I can do. Okay? There's a lot of people that I'll see that they'll say, hey, if you have a question, you call me. Okay? If you want to learn if somebody needs to sign up, call me. And guess what? You boom, boom, boom. You just put yourself in a box that you will never get out of. You have to learn to become systems dependent. How many of you guys have ever been to a McDonald's? Here's a joke. Okay? Probably everybody has, right? You know why? Now, McDonald's isn't successful because they make the best burger. They are successful because they have a system. A system that do they hire CEOs? No. Do they hire the corporate officers and stuff that come in and do things? No. A high school a kid with no knowledge whatsoever of the business, the workings, or anything can walk in off the street and be immediately functioning and effective in a proper system. There's a book out there by a guy named Michael Gerber, who it was called The E-Myth, talking about people becoming entrepreneurs and what they were going to do and what happens with somebody. But he said the number one thing that make companies succeed or fail is having proper systems in place that people can adapt to and build their business with. Okay, so I want you to remember this, because where are the deep fryers in a McDonald's?
On the left.
Thank you. Everybody knows where they're on the left. Anybody can plug into the system. Anybody can do this. All right, now before I get into the details of this, and you're going to see this is very, very simple. It's not so profound you're not going to figure it out.